Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Small Biz Real Talk, where we're having conversations with real entrepreneurs about the failures and successes and everything in between. This is where we're having conversations to inspire you and to give you insights to help you on your business journey. My name is Brandon Eldridge, and I'm with the Small Business Development Center serving Pikes Peak. And today, we're here with Coach Shannon Pulsipher and Jen Loader of Fitness Realist. How you doing today, ladies?
Doing very well. Thank you for having us.
Well, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, it says here that Fitness Realist is a Colorado Springs-based, women-owned wellness company serving clients virtually around the world. I cannot wait to unpack that. Shannon, you've built your company around more than just fitness, helping people think about wellness, accountability, mindset, and sustainable lifestyle that change in a realistic way. One of the things that I really love about your story as I was reading up on this is that you said that coaches need coaches too. And I can't wait to unpack that as well. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely, and having the right people around you can bring clarity, confidence, and a stronger vision for future. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about your business. What do you guys do at the core of your mission?
The core of the mission is to make sure that fitness and wellness is accessible to everyone.
Okay.
And thank you to the internet, we are able to do that and provide it all over the world. Would you like to elaborate a little more on Fitness Realist?
Yeah, just really takes fitness and the wellness piece, and the biggest thing that we do is try to make it real, right? So it brings it down to earth. It makes it so everybody has an option, everybody has the opportunity, and then like Shannon said, with the virtual piece, we're able to bring it to people anywhere they are. So
Wow.
It really opens up your avenues and starts kind of getting rid of some of those excuses that you like to throw out that stop you from getting there.
Yeah, the springtime, I forgot about my New Year's Eve resolution creep, if you will.
It is real.
Yeah.
It's real.
So do you have a formula to the way that you're going to work with an entrepreneur? You are the entrepreneur.
But we work with entrepreneurs too. That's part of our wellness partner program. Yeah.
Okay, good. Dive in a little bit about your formula and how you're able to kind of overcome that first 90-day failure rate that we see a lot of times with fitness plans.
First 90-day failure rate is very real. And so we hit it from a foundational standpoint. We really try to educate all of our Fitness Realist members on the fact that there is a right way to start so you don't burn out.
Okay.
Most people go to the gym, they see a whole lot of machines with some pretty easy explanations on the side, and it says, this is the muscle.
Yeah.
And the problem with working just that little red muscle that's highlighted on that machine is we're a whole body, one piece. And so our foundation is a human movement system. We are based on kinesiology, how the science helps the body.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we do see that the failure rate is far less when we explain the why, and not just the why, the foundation of movement and this shoulder is affected by this hip.
Yeah.
That's some really real foundational stuff, and that keeps people in it. We also try to make it fun. Our Wellness Boot Camp is a virtual course that goes into different things. So they have information on workouts, but they also get information on maybe nutrition, but also rest. What is real rest? What is active rest? So we try to make sure the burnout doesn't happen.
That's great. Could I think of this almost as like a virtual coach, or am I getting personalized coaching as well?
I appreciate that you asked, because we are different. This is not just a virtual coach system. It is tailored to whatever each individual might need. So we have lots of resources. Some are complimentary. We have a resource page on the website. We have a whole ecosystem of wellness partners where people can reach out for specific help on different things. So very personalized. And then even with our wellness course, which can be used one day at a time on your own independently, you're still going to get a one-on-one session with a live coach. And then some of our clients do 5 days a week of live coaching. And then the wellness program is their homework.
Interesting.
So it really is built and tailored to the individual, which is my heart. When I started business, it was very clear that I had a lot of energy and a lot of passion about what I do.
Yes.
How do you take all that energy and all that passion and put it into a program?
Yeah.
Well, you don't. And so when we did all of our research and development on the course, we decided it wasn't going to be a program. This is not a one size fits all. This is not here, work back and buys. This is a business model for people to come into and say, okay, I'm going to learn. I'm going to walk away with an education so that I know my body for the rest of my life.
Wonderful. you seem like the person that's not going to sit idle very long.
You picked up on that.
We're going to be in this podcast room for a few minutes here, but I can tell that you're just a go person. I oftentimes say I have two speeds, go and stop. And I can tell that you're into that. And so how do you balance that energy as an entrepreneur when you know that you're going to have to carve out some focus time and time to work on your business versus like getting in there and maybe shooting a webinar or, talking with a client and getting excited about their plan? Like, how do you balance that as an entrepreneur?
So let's say the hat tree is large, right? I switch hats often all day long. And not only as an entrepreneur and a coach, I'm a mom, right? Okay. I have teenagers. Yeah. And so that's a big part of my life. My family is why, right? We work so that we can spend time with our family and enjoy things with them. And we stay well for the same reason. I will go back and tell you, if I could have bottled all the energy that I had and sold that, I probably wouldn't have to manage all those hats. But the reality is that's not a reality. And so it is quite frequent that I am putting on a different hat. And I do have to take a moment and use some of the grounding techniques, some of the recentering, some of the breathing techniques that we have in our course to say, okay, today I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to sit in a chair. I'm going to hang out with you for a little bit and then I'm going to wiggle. But to be quite honest, I wiggled for about an hour this morning. I went for about 3 miles and then lifted a little so that I could sit in a chair.
Okay, excellent.
So how do entrepreneurs do that? I think that's the most successful entrepreneurs I've ever met are the ones that can adjust. Success is not in necessarily numbers. It's in the ability to change, right? And the ability to adapt. And so I think that has been part of my success.
Beautiful. So we mentioned in our monologue that entrepreneurship can feel a little lonely, and balancing all those different hats, sometimes it's great to have a good team around you. Yeah. So Jen, how did you get involved in this and where do you plug into the organization?
Yeah, so I met Shannon when I moved to Colorado about 4 years ago, and she was showing me her business, showing me the website that she was thinking about kicking off. And so I started looking I got a background in tech, and I started poking around. I opened up the console for the code, and I'm like, oh, there's all this going on here. And so we started chatting back and forth, and I had some ideas, and then I got into the platform that she was using. And I think one of the things, if it's fair to say, she does move, and when she's moving, she gets her best ideas, right? So it's her brain's working, and I'll get a phone call, and hey, I was just thinking about this, and then it's back and forth, and while she's running or
of course, always that, yes.
But then the ideas come, and then I'm like, all right, let's get on it. So I jumped in because I really genuinely believe in what she has to offer. She's very, very smart. She's very well versed. It's way above and beyond any personal trainer that I've ever dealt with or had even heard of before. Very science-based, very much that certificate of knowledge that she genuinely earned. And I don't know how much I want to share, but
you can share.
When I moved here, part of my issue was I had gotten out of a really bad situation. I had hit 220 pounds and then went through some not healthy things. And when I moved to Colorado, I was 119 pounds. Wow. And I was losing bone density. I was losing hair. Like, I was really sick and weak. And so I started learning from Shannon, like, how do we actually get to a healthy place? And it doesn't matter that you're wearing these little itty bitty jeans, right? Because that's not what's important. You can't even survive a roller skating fall without breaking your arm. So right. There was a lot there that I genuinely believed in myself. And I was honored to be able to kind of jump in and provide some tech support and help really maximize the platform that she was using to bring this message to everybody.
So I love this because you're a testimonial. You use the product that we're talking about here. So I love that. I also love that you clearly balance the left and the right side of the brain here.
Right?
Yes. And I can relate to this mentality where I can just be driving, listening to a podcast. I get inspired often in life. And so then I'm always like, oh, we could do this, we could do that. And so then, but you need people around you. And I appreciate that we have Jen here to kind of balance that, because as somebody that thinks visionary and big picture about things a lot of times, we need people around us that are going to ground those ideas and say, okay, we can take elements of that, but we need to think through the practicality of that. And so when you build a team like this, that's where you really can start to scale and create this beautiful business. So has that been a helpful thing, is having people around you?
100%.
Yeah.
I learned very early on, you don't have to know it all. You have to know people who do. I know what my lane is. I know what I'm good at. When she said, "Hey, can I see that?" Here she's training. She's drinking the Kool-Aid, right? She's doing the stuff. She's
that's
putting
right.
on good weight. She's putting on muscle. And I said, "Sure, you can look at the website, knowing her background." And code pops up.
Oh no.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, no.
Can you read this? Yeah, actually she can, and she understood it.
Yes.
And I realized, okay, this is somebody I need on my team, right? Because this is something that I don't know. But in my often in a lot of my webinars, you're going to see Anatomy Man. And one of my siblings is in the medical field, and one of the other siblings saw my office and said, "Is that the one that's the doctor?" And I said, "No, that's my office." My expertise is really inside of the human body and how it moves, but even further. And I think this is where Steve suggested that we talk. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life.
Yeah.
I opened my first business at 20, and not with a degree in business. So, I was wading
School of
through
Hard
the
Knocks.
muck, right? And figuring it out. But I've got some really great stories of really great people that were on my team, whether they were part of Fitness Realist or part of my first business. They were part of my team, and they're part of my story. And to be able to be asked to come back and share my successes and my failures was huge, because I said when I was 20, one day I'm going to give back to the community, to any community that I can, the same thing that was given to me. So our team isn't always people that generate revenue. Or design or hold a skill that looks like it's tangible. It's the older person sitting chatting with you. It's conversations like these. It's things that the SBDC offers, webinars where you can hear the information, but not just once. You can hear it multiple times and see how it's worked for other people. So that team has been huge. And that gentleman is still in my life, the one from when I was 20.
Yeah.
I still have contact. And he actually went and checked out the first home that I bought. So young 20-year-old, he was part of my team, not just in business, but in life.
Beautiful. So you said a lot. We want to unpack a couple of those things. So you'd mentioned Steve. Steve Imke's one of the SBDC advisors, and he's been a big part of your journey, it sounds like. But you haven't been afraid to ask for help and questions along this path. And I can just tell right away with your personality that if you have all of these ideas, you probably need a sounding board to tell you whether some of them are good or not, right?
Absolutely.
But finding the SBDC, finding Steve, how has that kind of matured the way you think about yourself as an entrepreneur?
How I think about myself as an entrepreneur. Well, the SBDC was introduced to me when I was back in Florida as a first business.
Yep.
And reaching out and finding Steve, that we can unpack that in a second, because he was super beneficial to us scaling.
Okay.
But to know that you don't know it all, right? Meeting the people that I've met along the way, sitting down and having conversations, and little things, oh, I can do that. Oh, you can't do that, right? You can do that, but they might take your sandwich board off the side of the road, right? Like, know the return on that investment. It might be gone. Those types of things, but learning from my own failures and learning from others people's failures and their transparency, not just their wins. It's so nice to hear when somebody says, "Yeah, I sold a multi-million-dollar business," or "I have XYZ in my, toolkit." But also I scraped my knees and I failed and my first business bit the dust. And those are the things that I needed to hear, to know that we all have to fail forward, whether it's fitness, right? In that first 90 days, some days hurt, right? Some days are hard. Knowing that grit truly is where we grow. That's what business is about. It's getting up after you've skinned your knees. It's waking up one day and going, okay, we've been working on research and development for a year and a half, and the host broke it. Right, we have all this, and not you as the host, but the host, right, for the website.
I don't break anything.
Yeah, you didn't break anything. Yes. Nothing in general, right?
Yes.
But to know, you go in and they've recoded your back end. Okay, now we've got to go through and troubleshoot that, and we got to stop selling it till we can fix this. Beta testing, knowing those failures are how you achieve the goal you're going for, and knowing that those are never going to end. So for me, I think it was very empowering to have all of these people relate to me that it's okay to fail.
Yeah. So Jen, you strike me as an accountability partner for Shannon here. So when she's meeting with Steve or some other advisors and she's coming up with these ideas and she brings some of those to you, talk to us a little bit about the cadence of how often the two of you meet, and maybe what comes out of those conversations. How are you helping keep everybody's eye on the prize? Like keep the thing, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely. So we talk regularly, daily, multiple times a day. We're in pretty constant contact that way, but she'll come to me with the ideas. I'll hear, I'll listen, I'll take them in. And then my brain starts running and I said, I'll get back to you. And then I go in and I go through the platform. I go through the back end. I go through some of the, like, luckily Steve was great about sending a follow-up. And so we had a list of the things that they had talked about, so I could look back and refer to it and kind of go down my own checklist.
okay.
But then I would go research each of those pieces and see what I could make work for us, what I maybe needed to tweak a certain way or tweak a lot, and then take what we could in chunks. And then we'll do our quarterly meeting where we kind of plan for the next, and then that's where we'll lay it all out. Okay, this is what I found. We could probably do this time, this time, this time. And we just back and forth that plan together after I've done some research and come up with a little bit of a plan.
Yeah.
So one of the fun things for Jen and I is we joke about who's logistics and who's the dreamer, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes those hats swap, right?
Okay.
So as much as, right brain, left brain, and
Yes.
right brain, left brain,
Yes.
we know that fitness is one of the areas where you cross hemispheres, right? So with movement in your body. But I think finding that in an individual, because some of the dreams that come from her are like, oh, cool. Now, don't get me wrong, my logistics is a little different, right? Like I can't do the computer piece, but yes, we can provide this. I can put that information into a document. You said if you have a platform, can I put XYZ in there? Yes, I can. So in that case, she was the dreamer and I had to be logistics. Okay, how does the body move? How do people respond? I have a background in human behavior as well. So when we put the course together, it's what's actually going to ring true, right?
Yes.
How's that going to work? But I think it's fun that we can go logistics dreamer. Now, most of the time I'm the spitballing is the term, throw it at the wall till something sticks. And Jen goes, okay, those all didn't stick. This is what will work. And that's great. Right. I think that does have to happen in any boardroom, in any business.
There's a season of entrepreneurship where you are really scaling and getting to a place where the business can live beyond the founder. And it sounds like you have a lot of industry experience and a lot of stuff in this brain that if you are going to scale, you're going to have to get it out and you're going to have other people be part of that. And I think that's what you're speaking to now is, you probably got to a place where you're saying, hey, listen, I can't be the one that's going to coach every person if we're going to really turn this into a viable business. So I got to get some of it out. And then I got to teach other people how to do that. And so I'm prompting you because I have these two posters behind us here, and we have a couple different business models, I guess, within your organization. So let's start with the one over here. Talk to me if I'm not watching, but I'm listening to this. What does this poster say, and what kind of scale that up for me?
Absolutely. So becoming a fitness realist, our membership is always going to be complimentary. There are all kinds of resources on our website, on our Instagram, on Facebook, different social platforms. But we are here to support baseline. What do you need to know? One of the resources that we have is how you can use your health savings account for training. And so we've got a letter of medical necessity on there that you can print and take to your doctor. Do you have to do it with Fitness Realist? No, you can do that within your gym. You can do that and in multiple facets, right? The goal is for each individual to win. So those are some of the resources. We also have a resource on there. It's a visual resource. And it isn't the food pyramid. We use the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate. And so that's a really great resource for people that are visual to be able to see. So those are there. They're complimentary along with a bunch of other things. We do use the National Academy of Sports Medicine's OPT model. So it's an optimum performance training model. And it is also, we put that model right on there, not as in depth as what we coach, but we want people to be able to see that. So those resources are there. And then with Steve, we developed and expanded on the blog posts. So we had a blog, and there were a lot of things that were just Shannon doing Shannon.
Okay, yes. Just getting it out of the brain.
It wasn't pretty, right?
Yes.
I'm a mover and a shaker, and so I've just got to get it out there. Well, Steve gave us a couple ideas. It was great. I would meet with him through a webinar, through a video conference, and then he would use AI to take notes, and then he'd shoot over almost immediately an email that I didn't understand anything that was on it. It had the links and all the things that we talked about.
Yes.
So I shot those over to Jen as IT, and then we built it right in. So our blogs became much cleaner, much clearer, 3 to 5 minute reads, evergreen content. This is stuff you're going to need forever baseline. But it is also a really nice setup where you can scroll through and say, okay, this doesn't pertain to me, this does. And one of my siblings said I can share, she can use it instead of doom scrolling. I'm much older than the doom scrolling vocabulary.
Okay.
Right? I'm 9 years older than the baby sister. So she said, use that word. It's a good word. So rather than doom scrolling, I hope it's still relevant. You can get in and read a quick blog post, 3 to 5 minutes, up in the morning or before. We try not to do the phones before bed, but even if that's something that settles you, in between meetings if you need to ground. So we've got that kind of content on there as well. And then the membership, if you jump on and you click the contact us, it's going to create an avenue where you do get some more information about Fitness Realist. So you'll get an email once a week and then a big one once a month full of a bunch of content. Sometimes there are workouts in there. Sometimes it reminds you to go back and read the blogs. It's a reminder of breathing. It's a reminder of what season we're in.
Okay.
So like you said, spring moving into summer, there was a really good email that came out with a workout on how to move outside. But we might also talk about things like how to hydrate and make sure whatever environment you're in, that you are safely working out outside.
Got it. So Jen, on the other poster here, it says Wellness Boot Camp. Sounds like you've probably participated in this. So tell our viewers a little bit about what this pillar is.
Yes. So this pillar is about our Wellness Bootcamp, which is an incredible course that we offer, that we put together. It's a monthly course. It has daily steps that you can go through. It is not just a fitness workout routine. It is actually like a wellness and a life plan, essentially, really.
Okay.
Like you're learning why you're doing the things you're doing in each of these steps. And then you are able to take that and apply that into your daily life, we have, this is a really good, I love to say this, real nutrition, real movement, real nutrition, and real rest.
Beautiful.
Those are what we really stand on. And this is what this boot camp really portrays. And so every day you'll get a brand new workout or rest day or, nutrition advice. But all of those things that you get in this daily course is supplemented with information and real information that is backing everything from the movement that you're doing and why you're doing it and what benefit you're going to get from that, to what fuel you're giving your body to do those movements, and then why rest is so important and how that's helping you actually continue this cycle of building the nutrition, building the, the fitness and the muscle that you're looking to do, or, whatever your actual goal is. And so it's been incredible. And I do have injuries. So, one of Shannon's big things is that she really struggles ethically with creating a one-stop shop for everybody. Like, there is no program that is going to benefit everybody the same way, right? Yes. But there are ways that she includes in this course that we have where you can actually adjust the movement to your own either level of fitness or modify it to certain things. Like my push-ups, I separated my shoulder. I cannot do standard push-ups. So when we have push-ups on our boot camp day, I'll do the wall push-ups or I'll do countertop push-ups or some modification where I'm still getting that movement and getting that benefit, but I'm doing it for my body because I can't do it like everybody. So it's been a really incredible resource.
It's great. So we have a couple pillars we've talked about, and I'm sure there's so much more to your business. But I want to drill into how you identified your ideal client. And so whether you did or didn't use some data analytics, or you did or didn't use some market research, or just if you were boots on the, let's talk a little bit about how you identified who your ideal client is. And maybe you can tell us who your ideal client is too, by the way. I'm guessing it's not like the big guy that's like lifting weights at, a gym, but tell us a little bit about that process of finding your ideal client, and then who did you end up deciding it was?
And so I will correct you just a little bit. It might be that bodybuilder because they don't stay in that season. So no, we don't treat for physique. That's not the goal. The goal is to get you well, hence the wellness boot camp.
Got it.
But even your pro athletes don't work on a regular program that is the same every month to month, right? They're going to have, and I'll go a little deeper, but it's, metacycles, mesocycles, how you periodize workouts means you have to have different phases. So you've got to have a mobility phase. You've got to have some some stability, some of the balance stuff. So when we looked, and this is the business question, right? Who is your ideal client? Who are you marketing to? The broken human, and aren't we all? Wow. Right? I mean, that is the reality. We just did a webinar not too long ago, and a young lady shared her story about exercise being an addiction. And contrary to a lot of popular belief, it really can be. We can over-exercise and hurt ourselves, right? So bodybuilding 12 months a year with no break has some detriment to the human body. We're not built to do that. So we have clients that are 13 years old. We have clients that are 79 is our oldest client. Right. And they meet in different capacities. Of course, the younger generation really likes the virtual aspect. Here's my phone. It's in my pocket. I've got this coach. One of the things that's part of the Wellness Bootcamp and part of our community is that we do have a small group community. So people have support through that as well. And that's on a virtual platform. We are seeing 25 to 35-year-olds really enjoy that platform. Okay. The younger ones really log on to this. They may never speak to me, and they're signed up and done. And then we have people that want to meet 5 days a week. I need a coach, whether it's on camera, in person. I need one-on-one. And so coaches meet with those people. But we fit just about everybody at some point in their life. So who is our ideal client? Anybody that's human.
Anybody that's human.
Anybody that's human, because we all have a body. And we all have to learn how to live in it.
So I'm guessing a prereq is that you have to have a desire and a willingness to make some improvements in your lifestyle, or
we would say that, but some people come to me, and this is one of my passions, is helping people to find joy in movement. Okay. So do they have a passion? Yeah, they sought out Fitness Realist. Pretty obvious what we do, right? Like yes. There's going to be fitness, there's going to be a movement component. And then I get to be sometimes the entertainer trainer. And I get to believe in people until they believe in themselves. And that's a big one for me, because all of us, whether it's in business or in movement, sometimes we forget to believe in ourselves. And that's why coaches need coaches, right? We need financial coaches, we need business coaches, we need movement coaches, we need people that lift us up. And we're in a world that that virtual piece is so common. Where do we get that human connection? So yes, I think they come to us with a desire. Sometimes that desire is not necessarily a wholehearted desire. Is that fair to say? Like, yes, I want to work out. Yes, I want to have a beach body. No, I don't want to do that. And so I tell people all the time, you can hate me for the next 30 minutes, but after that, you can't hate me anymore. Yeah. But I think good coaches have that ability to nicely bring it in, have people laugh a little bit with movement. One of the beautiful things about movement and wellness is when we start feeling better, we move better. And when we move better, we're able to process emotions better, right? So as we're moving, people are getting healthier and healthier inside and out. So they may not come to me with a wholehearted desire. They may not come to the program with a wholehearted desire. But I do believe once people are into the Fitness Realist ecosystem, even our wellness partners, we have other businesses that we partner with, so that people have access to all kinds of things. I think they find the Fitness Realist ecosystem, the family, and then that passion builds.
That's great. So I'm going to pivot here and talk a little bit about scaling. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but knowing a little bit of your story, I know that you were operating prior to 2020, and you already said that you were an entrepreneur at the ripe age of 20. And so you've had a lot of lessons that you've probably learned along the way, but 2020 comes along and that totally blows up the model for a lot of people. Yeah. And now you're providing your services internationally, it sounds like.
Correct.
And so talk to me about going from 2019 to today, where now you have international clients, you have a business model that is much more digital, it sounds like, than ever before. So what did that scaling look like? Did you have to bring on some contractors and some additional help? Did you have to build infrastructure and be intentional about some of those things? So talk to me a little bit about that.
So the short answer is yes. But really, what did it feel like? What did it look like? It was painful. Yeah. It was painful. So my prior business was a hair salon and spa. My entire life. And before that, I was, babysitter. And I think the first time I got a Miss Congeniality award, I was 4, and I was really sad because I didn't know what that meant. Right.
I still don't know what that means. Yeah, it sounds good.
But Sandra Bullock explains it very well.
Got it.
But it was very fitting to who I was, right? I'm able to pivot. I'm able to move. I have a lot of energy. Failures are not failures. They're stumbling blocks, right? What might seem like a brick wall really is just a big speed bump, right? We got to get over this. So I look at those challenges, but they're painful. So at that time in 2020, Fitness Realist actually was established in 2015.
Okay.
Just as a social presence, right? We were there just for information. And I worked inside of a gym, one-on-one with people, classes, did some seminars, that kind of thing. And then I went to work on March 16th, and on March 17th, there was nowhere to go to work. I mean, that was a big, big shift. And so I said, I think I can do this online. And I'm very grateful for people that trusted it in me. But the team had to grow. We had to go from, okay, this works, to not only does this work, now I'm a year in. Let me back up. Started, let's play with this and see what it does. It's supposed to be 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
2 weeks and then 2 weeks and then 2 months.
Yes.
And now I'm going to incorporate, right? Because I've owned a business in the past and I can do this. I know how to do this and it can generate some income. So let's go ahead and incorporate, see what happens. And at that time, the governor had said $1 for incorporation. I don't know if you remember that during COVID.
I don't.
Yeah, he dropped it. It was like, it's ridiculous
Oh, so registered.
to get
On the
registered.
Secretary of State.
That's exactly.
Yes.
And all right, there's a light push here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with this. So we did. We incorporated July 28th of 2020. And okay, wait a minute. Now people are really doing well. And I'll give you some metrics on this. In a gym, you join a gym, you've got about a 30 to 35% success rate, just joining, right? If you hire a coach, you go up to about a 65 to 75% success rate. We were seeing 85, 95% success rate. People were on because how hard is it to pat across your house and answer the phone, right? And even the people that were hesitant of the technology, I would just, obviously not just strangers, but friends, right? I would just give them a call. And is this how easy it is? It is how easy it is. Yes. Let's go ahead and get you set up. Right. And so now it became something that was real and an established business that had some really good metrics for success. Now, how do we scale? Okay, well, there's me. So then we looked at hiring contractors and how do you do quality control and how do you watch what's happening when somebody else is training from their house. And we skinned our knees. I skinned my knees a lot. I met Jen about 2 years into it. So she's been part of the company for about 4 years.
Right.
And I had hired a young man from the college and said, okay, it's time for a website. You know, this is growing. It's doing well.
Yes.
And that's when she said, okay, you know, this guy's he's working on it. Let's see what we've got. This is great. I love giving somebody the opportunity to grow because someone gave me the opportunity to grow. And so I said, can you look at it? And this goes back to Jen's story. So she looks at it, right? Pops up all this code. Now I'm panicking. What did you break? And she's just laughing, right? Nothing's broken. So in the journey of her getting well, I also saw what her strengths were. And so, yes, that became part of it. And then we've been doing the R&D. It's been a couple of years. There's been loss, right? Like money-wise. There's been loss, like I lost my mom in the middle of this project. Yeah. And so part of being an entrepreneur is that life doesn't stop, right? You have to continue to walk through those pieces. And so, yes, do I need a team? Yes, I do. Do I have some feelings and emotions around starting? Yes. When I closed the first business, I shut everything down and was a mom. I have 2 kiddos that are 19 months apart. Yeah. That's pretty quick, right? And it was diapers and more diapers. And for a minute there, that was my focus. So coming back into business, especially technology, I'd missed about 8 years of all of this growth. And so Jen was absolutely essential in growing some of that. But we've got some other people on our team, and we looked at what do we want as a team? And like I said before, I don't have to know it all. I need to know people who do. And so Sandy Griffin, with the expo. Yes. Yep. Yeah. I know you know Sandy. We're going to do some things with you coming up here with that expo for the vendor success. Sandy reached out to us and said, okay, what are you guys doing? And after this expo, let's meet. Yes. And we plan to be part of that expo in coming years. We went last year and saw a bunch of different ones. Said this is the one we want to be part of because passion was there.
So we'll add a little context. So that is the Colorado Springs Health and Fitness Expo. Yes. So Sandy Griffin is the founder and the organizer of that event, which is an awesome event. And they have it at Great Wolf Lodge in September, I believe.
This one's going to be August. The 22nd and the 23rd.
Annually. And to be fair, like it's one of those events that if you're remotely interested in anything in the health and fitness arena, it's a must-have event. But I love the story, and you said it so eloquently, and some of the ebbs and flows and the emotional roller coaster it is on an entrepreneurial journey. So thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes we get folks at the SBDC that get into entrepreneurship because they have a friend who has a big home and a couple trucks, and they say, I'm going to be that entrepreneur. And then you realize how tough that journey is to get there. And so thank you for sharing that. Now I'm going to pop over to you, Jen, because she looked at you when we started talking about scaling and building websites and infrastructure. And you're coming onto the scene right around the same time generative AI is becoming popular. And we're starting to see that really become a centerpiece to a lot of business plans. So maybe talk to me a little bit about how that scaling went for you. And now how are you incorporating some AI into some of your planning and processes?
Yeah, absolutely. So scaling like that was mostly for me about learning the actual platform and finding out what the capabilities are and really pushing the limits of what this is, because a lot of platforms are built for multiple use businesses, right? Not everybody is a fitness business that's using this host, and not everybody, is doing restaurants, and they have to build it for everybody. So what can we utilize to our benefit? And going through and just finding all those different little things, following their updates, and oh, now they've got this available. How can we do this? And going and doing some research on competitor stuff, and then coming back and saying, look, I think I can make this work within the host that we have. Let's build it this way, and you can do it this way. And so then, the boot camp was born. So really just digging in and figuring out what you have available to you, and then taking the time to learn and about what you have even at a deeper level, and what you can add and what external tools maybe you could bring into it. The AI thing with me has come in. We do a lot for research and, going back and forth and trying to plan things out, putting together, projected business models, and, well, what would this do for me if I did it this way? And then it can, hallucinate it out for you based on certain things, right? Sure. So you always have to take AI with a grain of salt, because it is only as good as the person that is prompting it.
Sure.
You have to remember that there are ways that it is going to give you answers that it made up, and it will defend those answers tooth and nail, even if they're completely incorrect. So you have to be very wary of that, and you always have to double check. Another thing is a lot of people have jumped on the AI train with marketing materials, right? And what I personally am noticing is a lot of a loss of individuality. A lot of that branding that is so important to business is being lost to AI. And now really AI is the brand, and they're all turning out the same looking stuff. And so we personally have chosen not to go down that road, because it is very important that our brands stay true to who we are and what we believe in.
Yeah.
But we will go back with slogans, and we will say, okay, how can I make this sound better? And how can I, and here's what we believe. How can you give me this in the Fitness Realist tone, right? So that we're still producing our material, and we're not relying heavily on AI to come up with all of that. And then all of the marketing and the graphic design is done by hand and with a human, and not, maybe I'll get ideas sometimes, but then we'll put together our own stuff so that we're not losing that. There is a very interesting thing that I think a lot of people need to be paying attention to right now, is how you're found on the internet through these models, these AI models, right? We've had the SEOs and all of the Google Tag Manager stuff. That's been around for a while, and that's been a really big piece of getting your business seen. But now we have things like ChatGPT is going live with their ad model, right? So they now have ads built into their responses. And how is your business going to be found by ChatGPT when somebody's asking for maybe fitness or wellness information? How is ChatGPT going to bring back your website? So that's something that we're constantly learning on, how to get Fitness Realist found in those platforms, and really take advantage of where the world is going with that, because I don't think it's going away.
Well, and one of the things, and I don't know, you can probably speak to this better than I can, but we noticed we would use it for spacing on advertisement. So she's developed the graphics, things go up, we take a picture and throw it into AI. That's no longer ours. We don't own that. And so we started seeing some of ours. And imitation is the best form of flattery. Don't get me wrong. In business, this was one of the things, but people are copying, but that's okay, right? There's a lot of people in the world. You have a lot of prospective clients and partners. Imitation just means you're doing it right. You just got to keep elevating, right? Continue to do it right. But we noticed that some of the things that we had put in there were no longer ours, and they're starting to pop up.
Yeah.
So is that something you can speak on a little bit more? Or
Well, just
I don't
be
know how-
wary of what you're giving it, right?
Yeah.
This is a public database. And so everything that you feed this AI model trying to benefit yourself is going into one big giant database where you're going to be feeding everybody, and not necessarily a bad thing, but also keep that in mind as you're trying to, when you're going up against competitors and, true business fashion, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, let me calibrate on a couple things here. So there are some models, especially if you're on a free model, we encourage folks at the SBDC, get on a paid plan,
Absolutely.
whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity, whatever you prefer to use. We encourage that first and foremost. And then there are safety protocols you can change on some of these platforms so that's not training the models. And then beyond that, the further you scale up, the more you can mature some of your AI plans. And so if you have intellectual property or if you're collecting personal information from clients, you'll be able to, and you can today, you can download the LLMs, put them on private servers and kind of create it like a closed circuit model for your business. And so I would encourage our listeners, if that's something you're interested in, seek out some of our classes or some of our free one-on-one support for that. But I like what you said. I want to go back to the AEO versus SEO conversation. We've been talking about this for a couple of years now about the answer engine optimization. And so we all know search engine optimization, but building websites and platforms that an AI can scrub and read and then get to your end user. And what we found is that consumers are relying more and more on an AI engine to search and find organizations like yours. We've even seen Google pivot with analytics and the way that they give information to the end user. And so I like that you touched on that, because this is a really important thing where we actually are seeing a future where maybe websites aren't for humans. Maybe your website is for the AI bot. Yeah. And your persona that the end user is using, the persona being your AI agent or your bot or whatever you want to call it. I like to call them personas. I don't know. Maybe that's too humanizing of it, but a person's going to have this persona and it's going to find health and fitness organizations that do what you do. And so training your websites and training the models on what your organization does is super, super important right now. So we're in this world where you're 1 foot in SEO, 1 foot in AEO, where we're going to see that scale tip over time where the bots are visiting your website more than the humans are. So
yeah, we were just talking about that. You just had a small debate over, is it going to stay? Is it not? And it is. Yeah. This is a change in business.
A new way of life. It is like,
well, and
part of flow, but
scaling a business, but scaling a mindset, right? So I shared with you, I owned a salon and spa. People have been my forte my whole life. That's what I've always done. And then training again. And I was afraid of this, right? How do I do this? You really have to have people and a team that says it's not scary. It is staying. Yeah. And then I've got to scale, if you will, my mindset to go, okay, this is where we need to go, or otherwise you have bottlenecked your business. And Steve and I talked a lot about that. That was really great coaching with him. Yeah. We had a lot of conversations where I was hesitant and he pushed gently, right? I wasn't all in that first 90 days of I'm going to do this. But he spent a lot of time really looking at what is out there, and it's ever changing. But he introduced us to a bunch of new websites, made it palatable for me. And then I was able to grow, and having a coach for a coach was huge.
And here you are. You're one of our success stories. I love it. I have a couple questions, and then we can start to get to the home run here. But I'm curious about models for cash flow for your type of organization. Have you had to play with different ways that your clients get invoiced or charged? And how does that look when you're doing projections? Is it predictable or is it unpredictable for you at this point?
I would say we've got it pretty predictable at this point, but there was a lot of fine tuning. There was a lot of tweaking, right? So owning a storefront, brick and mortar, You need your POS, right? You need your point of sale and what all that looks like and working through the different systems. When we went online, okay, Venmo, Cash App, do we want to do PayPal? Do we want to do these things? In a pinch, right? Jim, it was a 1-day turnover. Okay, how do we do this? Then we decided, how are we going to set up these pay structures? Are we going to do it like they do in a gym? Are we going to do one-offs? Are we going to sell a package? And we do a little bit of everything. So Steve actually coached us through setting up payment plans. What a brilliant idea. But instead of setting it up through someone else, we do an interest-free payment plan through our own platform.
Okay.
I have a Jen, right? Right. I need a team. I can dream it. She built it, right? Steve can say, this is good, do this. I dreamed how we can do it on our own. And she built a system. I would say we're at 99.9%. That's pretty solid. We did a bunch of research and development and some pain points on growing that. So we do one-offs, then we do packages, then we do payment plans for different packages. So we have a VIP gold, a bronze, and a silver. Should have gone bronze, silver, gold. But it's up to a year of training. Okay. Some of those pain points were things like, okay, people have paid, and then we have months where there's no revenue because we made it too short. Can we adjust?
Yes.
And people loved when we adjusted it to a longer interest-free payment plan because payments went down, right? Yes. 8 months, 10 months, 12 months made it a whole lot nicer. So that was one part of how we did the revenue piece. How are we going to collect this? This is a little bit different. We don't have a point of sale machine. It is all run through our host, right? That's very different than when I owned a business previously. We ran into that. We've run into which credit cards that you want to take. What do you want to process through? Mm-hmm. One of the big ones that is tough for me is, and I know in Colorado this is a big deal, charging that service fee on the credit card. And we opted not to. Okay. We have decided, and I'm a little old school, but business for 27 years, I think you build that into the price, and the credit card fee is part of it. However, I see a lot of business.
Absorb that cost?
We do. Yeah. We absorb it. For me, that's part of the cost of doing business. Like I said, maybe that's a little old school, and I may have to again, scale my brain to something different because it is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
But those are things that we have to learn. What is the customer comfortable with, and how do different price points work for different people, and how do we bring that in?
What I really like about what you said just now is that you may have to play with that in the future. So that means that you're being forward thinking and that you're not going to just rest on your laurels, as they say.
Yes.
And allow the market to change without you seeing how that's going to impact your own personal business. So I appreciate that.
And I think that's the biggest part of business. That pain point, again, isn't a brick wall. It's meant to be a hurdle. You need to come up and over that, just like fitness, right? Mm-hmm. You need to challenge yourself to grow. Nothing stays the same, right? The only thing definite is change. And so I think the more open that a business owner is to the fact that things will change, there will be pain points, the better you adapt.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fair to say that that's how you get successful, right? Is your ability to change and your ability to adapt to change is where the success comes in. Beautiful. And you're always moving.
I love it. So my last strong question here is around your ecosystem. And we talked about the Health and Fitness Expo, which is a beautiful ecosystem. How do you find collaborations with other organizations that are similar to yours? How does that complement, or how do you view competition in your world?
So I think that's a two-part question. And I kind of said it earlier, I don't see competition. I think it's an opportunity to grow. I think imitation is the best form of flattery. If somebody sees something that we're doing and they're trying to emulate it, then we just have to take it to the next level, right? Keep that bar going. So competition would imply that there are not enough people or enough resources in this world that only one business can succeed in one industry. I think that's a farce. I really, truly, as an entrepreneur, I believe there are lots of ways to succeed. I think there's a lot of ways to pivot, and a lot of ways to grow. And even if we're watching what somebody else has, does that make them our competition? I think some we would choose to be colleagues and partners with, and some we may not, but it doesn't mean that it's competition. There are enough people and individuals that want different things. Second part is we do have a wellness partner program. And so you asked how we grow our ecosystem. Each one of those businesses has spent some time with me. We are going to talk. We're going to see. So like Sandy and I have some interaction. We're going to have a little more interaction. We are possibly considering being sponsors next year for this expo because I love what she stands for.
Sure.
It is truly her heart to do the things that she's doing. And you can see it. It just radiates off of her.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to get to know her a little bit more. Steve's passion to teach people the things that he's learning and to share his successes and failures, it comes off of him. He enjoys being able to do that. And so when we look for people to be part of the Fitness Realist ecosystem, whether they are in the medical field, whether they're a massage therapist or a nutritionist or a therapist, even mental wellness, right? We look at those people and say, okay, one, do you love what you do? Because if you don't, I don't know that this is a good partnership. And so our ecosystem is built around people that truly want to do the job that they're doing and truly have a passion for helping people. And so that's how we've decided to grow. And it's been a small ecosystem and then it was bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think if you do it right, it may take a little longer, but you really end up with quality people and partners. And I enjoy all of our wellness partners. I think you do. I mean, you could pick the phone up and talk to any of them. For instance, at the expo, we are not just a Fitness Realist booth because being that ecosystem is so important to us. All of these people from all over around the world are sending things. We have an author that's sending a book for us to give away, training after 50 and that it doesn't end, right? But it looks different. Okay. So we have people that are doing that kind of stuff. We have people that have offered to share with, we're going to contribute to the big drawing at the expo, but it's not just Fitness Realist stuff. And for us, I think that's kind of the future of success. It's the good old boy way, help each other out. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. We make sure people have quality vetted businesses to work with, but it is a little different business model than what it used to be, right? Because we can expand throughout the world. And I hope that answered both parts of that question.
Certainly did.
Maybe above and beyond. I'm sorry.
No, you're a very abundant thinker, and I appreciate that. And I think when you look at a community that is providing really great resources, whether it's in housing or public safety or education, or in your case, health and wellness, you'll find that it's a collaborative community. And so the more we can encourage that and think abundantly about who our end user is and how we work together, I think that makes the Pikes Peak region and even Colorado a really great place to live. So let's give our viewers some pearls of wisdom here. Give them something to take away. What would you say is the best lesson you learned being an entrepreneur for all these years now? And then I would love to hear, Jen, where people can find you as well after this podcast. So what do you think, Shannon?
Best lessons I've learned is being an entrepreneur. Stay humble. Know that there's no end game. Just like in health and wellness, there is no finish line. And as long as you're going to do this and be an entrepreneur, you have to know the hard days come and you stay in it. But stay humble to the fact that you don't know it all. You're going to need people around you that do. Find that support and be gracious in the learning.
Beautiful. I love that. So where can we find?
So you can find Fitness Realist on social. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then, of course, our website, fitnessrealistcoaching.com.
Okay.
All kinds of great stuff there that can benefit anybody that wants to check it out.
Fantastic. Well, this was a wonderful conversation. You are two beautiful souls doing important work. So I'd like to encourage you today to just keep on that track. And in the seasons of entrepreneurship, you're going to hit a phase where you're helping others succeed in their business. And I hope you will be encouraged to do more of that too. So congratulations on all of your successes. And I hope to continue to see you doing well. So congrats.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
All right, my friends. Well, I hope you took a few pearls of wisdom from today's conversation. These are important conversations because when we get into entrepreneurship, oftentimes we feel it's very isolating and lonely. And I hope you'll see that having conversations like this, you can find people around you that are going to help you on that journey. So I hope you're doing the same. I hope you'll seek out the SBDC and some of our other resource partners. To find us, you go to pikespeakSBDC.org. And until next time, shop local, my friends.